I'm not trying to cook you, okay? I'm doing nuts, okay? Anytime I watch your videos, okay, I'll either give a supporting take or another take, or sometimes it's aligned or something neutral. I watched it, your new video, and maybe it's because of my fundamentals. I genuinely didn't agree with it. Your takes. Is that fair enough or not?
That's totally fine. This is one that I'm a little surprised to hear though, because I feel like this is just a really basic, not controversial take at all.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I see a big fallacy. Okay, it's like a slippery slope. It's like a slippery slope coming up. Okay, to me, it feels like the argument is like, yo, dude, they work for something that is very successful and makes a lot of money. Therefore, they're entitled to more. Just like, let's say, Amazon is popping off. They're like $1 trillion company, right? Well, technically, the dude could, Bezos could afford to make every employee 150K a year, right? Without affecting much of the company's worth. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, should he? Probably not. That's just my take.
So I can see why you'd want to draw that comparison. It's just in this field that's not really apt. So the actors are being paid, as I understand it, almost exactly what they were being paid when the channel made $0, had 0 subscribers, and they were contractors as opposed to employees, which isn't unusual, especially for that kind of field.
Yeah,
But
well,
as
you know how much that is? I don't want to cut you off. I want to make some quick maths here. Did they ever release how much they're making, how many hours that they're working on? Because I watched a video and I couldn't take it at face value because I feel like there's a lot loaded in here that isn't being unpacked. Because maybe you know more than I do, so your opinion is more strong about it. Because when I look at it, right, with the info I'm given, I could not come to the same conclusion as you.
No, so you mean like actual figures? Have they released their salaries?
Yeah.
No. And as far as how much they're working, you can only speculate. But since Dhar Mann uses the same actors and contracts them as opposed to puts them on payroll, you can kind of extrapolate that since, for example, Colin, who plays Steve in most of the content, I think he's been in roughly like at least, and this is a ballpark, like 40% of his videos in some capacity. That's still a lot of hours. Like that's a decent chunk of hours. And he is not getting paid the standard that an actor working those hours would be paid. And the reason there's a protest is because they understand like they're not entitled to more money, though I think it's only fair given the work they put in, and as it's grown so much, Dhar Mann being in his position would want to take care of his actors. The reason they're protesting is because he refuses to even speak with them on their payroll and instead fires them if they bring it up, or dodges them since he's pushed their last 3 meetings and then just completely canceled the 4th. So the reason specifically for the protest isn't even the suboptimal pay, it's the fact that he will not even talk to them about it. And if you bring it up, you get fired.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I agree with that part. The only thing I agree with is that the meetings, I mean, is shit. It's just trash because it feels like you're kind of baiting and stretching, right? Like you say, oh, a problem exists, let's talk about it, and you delay it while they're still working. So yeah, then I agree with that 100%. As soon as that happened, I said, yeah, that's shit, because you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
I just felt like it was hard to have the conclusion. Because, what, is this like LA based?
Yeah, so Dhar Mann Studios is LA based, yeah. So they have 3 sound stages in Burbank, I believe.
Okay. So it felt to me that, LA rent is it's a disaster. So I was like, okay, well, rent is probably really fucking high, right? And based on the hours, I saw a lot of employees over there. There was a lot, they protesting. A lot of them were over there, right? And I was like, well, if the concern is that they can't pay rent and they're contractors, right? I'm like, with the amount of people that are over there, how much hours could they be realistically be putting in? And I'd be like, well, of course you can't pay rent of the salary of this one YouTube channel's like intermittent appearances. I mean, that's there's not much you can do here. Like,
yeah, so I think I see what's going. I think you're under the impression that what they're looking for is a like full-time job salary to cover everything. As I understand it, that's not really the case. So all of these people, they are contractors. They're not employees. They're not allowed to be employees for Dhar Mann. But so they have other job opportunities, I imagine, other income sources, but the pay that they're receiving from Dhar Mann is not industry standard, and it's not acceptable for the amount of work they're putting in. Like, the amount of hours they're doing with their work for him is not being compensated fairly by Dhar Mann. That's where the issue stems from.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, okay, then the thing's point. Say if they're contractors, did they agree to a contract? What happened in between What happened in between this time that they signed for something that they're going to be paid a certain amount for a certain amount of hours, and then what happened to why are they upset now? Is it because the channel is more successful and there's more money to be made, but they're not getting a portion of it that they think it's fair? I mean, in my opinion, the way I feel about it, if I'm coming into a job as a contractor and they're telling me, hey, you're going to be paid $20 an hour and you're working 8 hours a week, flat, right? So that's all I can offer you, right? And I say yes. Well, I have to come to terms with the fact that I'll be paid $20 an hour, 8 hours a week, flat. End of story, right? And if that's not adequate for me anymore, right? Well, I quit.
Well, so that's the stage they're reaching. But they're not quitting, they're getting fired for trying to negotiate. So as this has scaled up, the productions have scaled up, he's releasing multiple videos a week, their hours have scaled up, but their contracts and their pay haven't reflected the extra work that's going into it. But instead of being able to talk about it to, like, negotiate a more fair pay, a better rate for their work, he's just firing them or refusing to talk to them.
Well, I didn't see that. I wish there was like a video explaining that. So, from what I saw, I think this comes from a position where you know more than the video lets on. Because what I'm getting in the video, I don't have enough to make these conclusions. I just don't. Like, even the guy talking and what he's saying, I don't even agree with it at face value. So when he says, like, we're taking on all of these hours, we're taking on these jobs for Dhar Mann, but we can't afford to even have this, like, help with our rent, that's not, like, an alarming thing for you to hear? Because I think even just taking it at face value, it's like, you would think for something this successful with this many appearances throughout all of this content that's generating this level of income on the back of their talent that's been there since the start, you would think that they'd be on some kind of good payment system, right? Like, wouldn't you try and draw that conclusion? Like, for example, this is a stupid comparison, but I'm going to go big here. And I think for Dhar Mann, it's kind of fair. Someone like Steve is a star. In the same way that Robert Downey Jr. was a star for Marvel. Would you expect him to be working for the same pay as that continued to scale up as he was at the beginning? Because I think the answer should be no. Oh, wait. That was complicated. Wait, the what?
Dhar Mann's content has been built off the back of the same actors and actresses at the same rate without ever scaling up as everything else has scaled up. Much in the same way that Marvel scaled up from Robert Downey Jr., thus they needed to pay him more as things went on and his hours increased, his workload increased. That's just the way things work as they grow.
Okay, no. That is not, okay, so that is a terrible comparison. Sorry to cook you on this one. Because that's what we call in this trade leverage. In that.
But they can't do that. They can't, because he's shutting it down. Exactly. He's firing them.
Well, I mean, they have no leverage. That's how it is. Of course, Robert Downey Jr., if he shows himself to be a better actor, he's more needed. So therefore, he can only get a certain roles per amount of year. So his value, right, it increases. So then he can use the other films as leverage, right, against his current person that wants him to stay and say, yo, dude, if I spend my time over there, I'll be making double money. So I'm worth this much right now, right? If you want to pay that, you can pay that, right? Otherwise, I'm not working here anymore, right? These guys have no leverage, right? Dhar Mann on paper could literally go to Craigslist and get anybody show up for fucking $80, right? And that person will show up and will do the work that these guys are putting in, and we'll probably get the same amount of results with the amount of the quality of acting that is in those videos. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, but that's also not the point. Like, he could find 15 high school students to do it for free, but does that make it right or fair to the actors? That's more the argument, not so much like can it get done with people that are lesser.
This will be like an exploitator behavior answer. I think that's still fine. If they say they want to do it, and they say yeah, then fuck it. It's like if I'm unpacking something in my car, so he said, and some fucking, I don't know, some like adolescent shows up, like 16-year-old dude is like, hey, you need help with that? I'm like, yeah, right? I mean, he agreed to help for free, right? I mean, I don't owe him shit. Even if though I made him lift the fucking diamond worth 20 mil, I have to pay him shit, right? if somebody agrees to do something for a certain rate or something, which is in that scenario free, right? Well, I mean, yeah, I'll take it. I mean, when I was a kid, I did acting for some college students like 4 times for free. They only like give me fucking like a lunch, something like that. I agreed to that. I was okay with that. I didn't feel scammed. That's kind of how I feel about it. And if I were to go into a contract where certain hours, like if these guys were like let on and they would be paid more, and they got scammed, it's a whole different ball game. But if they agree to something, they don't agree. If they got promised something that the employer doesn't, and they don't agree with the pay anymore, well, that's on them.
Well,
right?
Yeah, but at this point, you're making arguments for finding like the lowest possible payment for the same work. Like at this point, you're like almost making a sweatshop argument. Like, why pay for these workers when I can just pay like almost nothing for these workers? It's not like, I mean, the work gets done, but I mean, is a sweatshop a good thing?
Okay, that's not a good thing. The government protects in this country against sweatshops, right? The government has stuff that goes. It's why the sweatshops exist. Is that they go into other countries where laws are different, and then they zone it out, and then people work under circumstances, under pay, under hours that wouldn't fly in the United States, right? But we are in the United States in this case, right? So they are protected by certain things, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely protections in place, 100%.
So I just don't feel like, without getting the exact numbers, that I can take these guys' arguments at face value without like actually seeing at least some sort of data, and then making conclusions is very bad. I feel like this is like, I don't know. I except for the part where he doesn't show up to meetings, which I think is fucking lame as shit. Okay, I feel like I've done the same by accident or because of lack of professionalism to my editors, where I've like. I say, yo, yeah, I'll be around like in a minute, and then I don't talk to them for like a day, a week, sometimes fucking 2 months. I talk to them, these motherfuckers. But bro, that's like lack of professionalism, right? Like it happens sometimes. Like I don't think it's a massive problem. Okay, but I'm not putting myself in the equation. I just feel like, except for that part, which is bad, right? It's bad. It's bad to not show up to your meetings and be baited like that. I fail to see what the problem is.
So I'll try and like gauge this a little more something like in this wheelhouse. You mentioned editors. Do you have the same editors now as you did when you, let's say, do you have the same editors now as you did last year?
I've had one editor from when the channel was nothing to something, and I hired somebody. I had on top, now I have 2, and the new guy has taken the something to something greater because of combined workload and different philosophies, right? So now we have 2, but they've been there pretty much for the whole ride, when it was making nothing to a little bit to a lot, right?
So the guy that started when you were nothing, is he being paid right now what he was when you were making nothing?
Oh, he's being paid more with a agreed upon adaptive pay of 15%.
Okay, but you see like how that pay has increased, and he's been there from the beginning as it grew. Like you see that.
Yeah, but that's because, okay. So like I said, it's adaptive, right? Because I want them to be motivated to do more and do better, and to like keep up with like in the industry and how it's going. Like if they work more, they're paid more. I feel like this is a different ball game. These people are contracted to show up for something, and they do it very that, right?
Well, so bad by like our definitions of the acting is cringy, but they are doing exactly what they're paid to and exactly as directed. Steve Collin, he is an actor outside of Dhar Mann. He's been in Better Call Saul. He's had minor roles in bigger things. Like he is an actor.
Okay.
Like they are doing the work as they are supposed to do it, the way they're supposed to do it. They're not doing a bad job. It's not like he's docking their pay because their performance is bad. Sorry, I had a burp in my mouth. Like they are doing exactly what they need to be doing. So this isn't a matter of like them being bad at their jobs.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So so this guy has Better Call Saul tier jobs and other ones, and then he still works for the Dhar Mann cringe guy, right? then why doesn't he quit that job if his time is more valuable now?
Well, I mean, they're getting fired because they're trying to negotiate. Like, as it grew, they are proud of the work. They were there from the beginning. Colin told the story about how original Dhar Mann videos were filmed at his apartment complex in a garage, this and that. And then as it grew, they wanted to stick with it because they felt like part of the team, part of the family. It's reached a point where over the last however long, they've tried to negotiate better pay because they're putting in so much more work, so many more hours. Obviously, the product is a lot better, but he's not letting them negotiate. Instead of adjusting pay or listening, he's firing them. Like, on the spot, just firing them.
Fair enough. Okay, then okay. You know what? Fuck it. I have a different argument that will maybe make you feel like scaling up could be a problem. But scaling down. What happens if Dhar Mann gets canceled or some shit, right? Because he I don't know, he pierced allegedly somebody's a car a tire with a piece of glass, okay? And then now the channel, okay, makes 2K views a month. Should their pay be scaled down?
That'd be a negotiation between them and the actors. That'd be a communication thing. Yeah, that'd be entirely up to them. But so, for example, let's say you have a colossal fall off. You get canceled. Your fucking nutsack butthole pics leak on Twitter, whatever. You get canceled. Your channel's not making anything anymore. Are you gonna stop paying your editor?
Well, the pay's adaptive. So I mean, if they want to work, they can. But I mean, they'll be editing hour-long videos for like 20 cents an hour on average. So I mean, they will quit, and they should, right? They should. They should leave me to dry, because that's how the world works, right? We agree to something and it currently works for both of us. So it doesn't work anymore. Well, now they quit because they're not paid anymore. They should throw me under the bus in terms of like financially. People that I hire, right? I expect them to throw me under the bus, right? When things get bad and go bad, the same way I expect myself to throw them under the bus when shit gets bad. I think it's called business. It's called business relationships.
But like, when you say it this way, do you realize, like, the more you say things like this, the more it seems like you are legitimately having the same thought process as the people who end up using, like, sweatshops, slave labor, that kind of thing, right? You're looking for the cheapest way of getting the labor done in the quickest time possible without caring about, like, actually doing the work the right way, which is, like, the core problem, like, the core issue, which is what the whole thing was about. Like, you are right. You could find it's fucking 12, 16-year-olds in the Dhar Mann cinematic universe to play these roles, and they do it for free. They do it for exposure. But that's not a good thing. That should never be the case. You should want to, like, pay the actors and the professionals the standard rate to do the work and do the work well. It's not an argument of, can it be done cheaper? It's an argument of, why can't we just do it the right way?
I agree, but if somebody agrees to it for a certain amount, and they say, wow, I'm worth more money, well, I don't give a fuck. I don't want Leonardo DiCaprio a performance, okay? I don't want a better call performance from the guy in the video, David, whatever the fuck. I want Craig's level acting for Craig's level videos. And if they make a little more money, well, I took the risk initially, right? I'm the one who owns the business. I should own the profits.
There's no obligation for you to pay him more. But to at least hear them out as it's scaled up, like, hey, I'm putting in more work, I'm putting in more hours for the same pay as it was in the beginning, I would like to at least talk about a pay raise. Hearing them out and then negotiating from there is how it should work. And it's not, which is a core issue here.
Is that how it works normally? Because I would have just blocked them. But it makes a lot of sense, though.
You sound like an absolute ruthless warlord out here. Good. My heart is breaking for your editors. You're gonna have one bad month, and they're not gonna be eating for fucking 2 weeks. Good God.
Okay.
Jesus.
Okay. I was joking about that, but I feel like of course, when things are good, okay, and I'm happy with how things are going and how the creative, let's say, shift that I see, I don't mind giving a bonus to some of the editors. Bro, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this. Yo, those in chat, they hit my videos. he doesn't even fucking talk about payments anymore. So I'm pretty sure that all my second, third, fourth, all the other channels, he's paying himself. Okay, dude. So I don't think I've paid him for the main channel because he's paying himself with the other channels. Okay, and you know what? And that's fair game. Okay, that's fair. I haven't paid him. I'm not kidding. I haven't paid him for the main channel in forever because he's paying himself with the other channel, right? So what if he sometimes he does these new things like making new channels, doing other shit, and he creates value, right? And that's valuable. It's adaptive, right? They can do more. They can be smarter, and I'll give him a bonus, or I'll give more, and that's fine, right? But the problem I have with this is that, unfortunately, let's say, right, $100 an hour, right, 10 hours a week, a scam, right? Person will be making, let's say, no, $100, okay, $100 an hour, right, for these dudes, let's say, okay, but I can only give them 4 hours a week, okay, so they're paying $400 a week, which is in fact $1,600 for the month. They live in LA, right? They can't afford rent. And then they're like, yo, bro, we can't afford rent. Well, if they agreed to 4 hours, if they agreed to 100 an hour, 4 hours a week, then what can I do, right? They agreed to the terms, and they agreed to the pay and the workload. They do that, they're paid. What's the problem? If you don't enjoy it anymore and don't want to do it anymore, we don't have to.
Well, even in your examples, like you're receptive, well, except for the 2 times you threatened to block them, I guess, you're receptive to hearing them, right? So if that guy came to you, he's like, hey, I was fine with this in the beginning, but, you know, now, like, I really can't afford rent and I am putting in a lot of hours. Could I maybe talk to you about an increase in pay? That is not happening right now with the Dhar Mann actors. They can't get to that step.
Well, at that point, dude's making a lot of money, and his time is worth a lot of money, and he probably doesn't want to fucking deal with that shit. But I agree. I agree though. I didn't agree that it should at least try to talk to them. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know. Like, let's say you work at Amazon and it's good pay. I'm pretty sure Amazon's good pay, isn't it? It's like decent, right? How much is Amazon an hour? Yeah. 15 to 20 bucks an hour. That's pretty good. Why it's not? 17.50. I'm
gonna throw you a little life raft here. I don't think Amazon is the best comparison for this situation. I'm just gonna be honest straight up. So let's dial it back more into like editing and stuff like that. I think that's going to be a lot stronger of a like platform to tackle it on. You have to also keep in mind, these people aren't just doing grunt work. They are the principal actors in his content. Without them, there is no content unless he finds other actors to replace them. But since he's using them, they are the reasons the videos exist. They're not playing some like behind the scenes role. They're a big part of it. So they should be able to at least communicate with the person when it's like, hey, I'm putting in all these hours, I'm putting all this work, the pay hasn't changed at all, I'm still on like that very baseline, very underpaid rate that we agreed to in the beginning because, you know, we were both small together, but now we've both grown together. I'd like to at least examine this and see if, since I'm putting in all this extra work and, you know, we're in this good of a spot, maybe we could talk about some kind of better pay system.
Fair enough. In my answer to that, show up and say, no.
So then it's kind of more of like a fundamental disagreement then, because I feel like the answer should be, sure, let's examine it. Let's talk about it together instead of just fire them on the spot because they asked.
Okay. I guess that'll be the only part that I don't agree with the whole thing. It's the fact that these guys have disagreements and they won't be addressed. I think that is the only thing that because the rest of it, I have no data. I have no I have no, I guess not story. I guess timeline of things. I know nothing about any of this. And the video doesn't indicate me any of this either. It's like impossible to really understand the concern and take for face value, because I don't like believing in just what is said, right? Straight up. Like the guy says, yo, dude, I'm not being paid. And the guy ends up being paid like $200 an hour, right? Like, I'm gonna feel like my take was wrong, and now I'm a dumbass. I have to, unfortunately, it's like guilty until proven innocent. Oh, I'll believe what he says, right? If I'm wrong about it, we'll have another take. Well, not really. I'd like to be given all the info that I need from the get-go, make a take, and be my take is final.
To me, this sounds almost more like you're afraid of looking silly if it turns out new information comes to light.
Of course, because I want to be in that position.
There's really nothing wrong with being in that position, though, as long as you're, like, willing to change. Like, that's a supernatural thing people go through. Like, for example, Helena Taylor.
Charlie. Nah, I disagree. Charlie, you disagree with yourself right now. Okay? If you were half canceled overnight, the dumbest shit, the damage caused by what was said, you would never be able to recover past the point where you were. It would take you way more time, way more effort, way more strength and willingness to power through. You know for a fact, this is some shit about you, right? Okay, people say question mark. Okay, what about Johnny Depp then? Do you guys feel like his reputation went back to normal or better with his industry and his bosses and with people?
That's a huge leap, going from like, hey, these workers, you know, I hope they can talk to their boss about a higher pay for all the work they've done when they're still not getting good pay, all the way to like a Johnny Depp situation. Like that's a total extreme. Like what you're doing right now is opining on a situation, not like actively participating. You're not the one that's like slapping the Dhar Mann actors while they're doing their protest or anything. Like the fear of being proven wrong with later information seems to be like clouding the way you're approaching the problem itself, which is these people are doing more work now than they previously did and still getting suboptimal pay because they couldn't afford to pay them that much at the time. Thus, it didn't matter how much more work they put in, they're still getting the same pay, and anytime they bring it up, they get fired, which is just a straight up problem. And that's why it's become an issue. It's why none of them work for Dhar Mann anymore, because they've all been fired for bringing it up.
That's as far as this guy will say it. But has there been like data of that people say? Because that's a pretty big claim to say.
Oh, it's not one guy. It's every actor. So every principal actor from most of Dhar Mann's videos have been in these protests and have come out and said the same thing, corroborating all of it. The only thing they haven't released is the salaries, because again, that's not information we even really need to know. The problem is they can't talk to him. So they're doing a protest because they want to be able to talk to him to negotiate that number. That's the whole purpose of it. They're mentioning the pay because, well, we want to talk to him about pay and he won't let us. So it becomes a talking point, but the actual figure isn't what they're rioting about. It's wanting that communication to talk about it instead of just being fired for trying to.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see how that's a problem. So like I said, I think that's a problem. I feel like the conclusion people make from that problem, right? And going public about it just can sometimes cause a bit of damage, and I wouldn't want to be put in that position. That's all. But I agree that the wrong here is not talking, right? But I think that they're being assumed or talked about and without being proven, I think kind of suck. I think they just suck. He's saying, yo, guys, we're not paid enough. We're not this or that, right? I think it'd be pretty easy to show, right? They're gonna go public about how much it is, how much we're talking, industry standard, give it a context. Taking it for the story that it is, when you have all the ammo, it's like in an argument like this, it's like loading in your mag, right? That could have bullets and having no bullets in the mag, right? You have all the ammo you need, like the hours that were required for you, the salary you were given, and then the industry standard. Then you fire that, you win, right? Then your point comes across, and everybody understands you. If you say, yo guys, I'm not paid enough, lol, I can't pay rent, lol. If you talk, you're fired, lol. What? I didn't see any proof of that at all, anywhere. So how can I make a good take about this?
Well, because that's not the point of the thing. Again, them not being able to, it's not like they're surprised. You're right, they're contractors. They knew what they were getting paid getting into it. They want, since this is scaled up so much, to talk about altering that pay. Just like you've mentioned the word adaptive. Like, you've used the word adaptive a lot when talking about your editors. They would like to adapt their pay to the more work they put in, and they're not able to, which is why they're doing this. It's not they are not caught off guard. They are not surprised by what they're getting paid. They did agree to it, but they would like to talk about changing it around a bit more to reflect the scale and reflect how much they've put in. Like, I think there's a big disconnect on the core problem that you're overlooking here. It's not so much I have to take their word that they can't afford rent and they're eating fucking cat food. It's, okay, they'd like to change their pay and they're getting fired for even mentioning it. That's the issue. It's not like you don't need, if you don't believe that they're not getting paid enough, that's fine, because that's not the issue. It's they can't even talk about it without getting fired.
Okay, fair enough. I feel, okay, I hate to say it, I feel like the result of the product is irrelevant if the quality expected from the workers is the same as the quality that was expected initially. Okay? If I want you, okay, to spit in my face for $100 an hour right now, right? You do that, you spit in my face, bang, 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 bang. But then it becomes an art form, and now I'm making it $1 billion a year from the pictures of my face with spit on it. Should you be paid more? I disagree 100%.
You are under no obligation to pay me more for spitting in your face. This is what a wild example. You're under no obligation to pay me more for spitting in your face or tongue punching you or whatever. But if I approached you like, hey, this is scaled up a lot, I'm spitting in your face a lot, can we at least talk about maybe getting me on some kind of different deal? I would expect you to not spit in my face and kick me out of the fucking door for even asking. And then you replace me with someone else whose spit isn't nearly as viscous or something, right?
Yeah.
That's how it should work.
I will agree with half of the video then, because I have enough information to know that there's an ongoing problem and a unwillingness to fix a problem, but I cannot agree with the actual specifics and the semantics about what the problem is. And I think it's a lot of conclusions without giving a lot of things to people. It's a lot of going public with not enough actual raw material to make a conclusion from. That's all.
So you mean by... I think I understand. I think you just hung on not knowing how much they're getting paid.
Yeah, because when you go public, Charlie, when you go public about something, okay, you are going to war, okay? Because the second you make something public, you are causing damage every minute, every hour, something is public. And if you are going to go public and you are in that war, you best fucking believe that you come in armed with your fucking helmet on and your gun fucking loaded, okay? That's just how it works. Unless you haven't been around the internet for a decade. When you go on the internet with a truth, you better be fucking loaded the fuck up, because you're causing damage just based on the existence of that war, right? And if you don't have enough, and you have too little, and then you have nothing, right? It's damage caused for no reason that could have been avoided, and you're causing irreparable damage, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And when I see this, what I see is a big gun, right? And not a lot of ammo loaded, and it makes you feel like, fuck, man, I want to be behind these guys, and fucking, yeah, man, I'm gonna use my platform and say, yeah, man, fuck Dhar Mann, right? But I don't have enough to do so, and if I did, I would fuck on Dhar Mann 50 times as hard. I'd be, fuck this guy, right? I'd block his videos. I would be super, but now I can't, because if I take their word for it in the way that it's presented to me, well, I have a high chance of looking like a fool and causing even more damage for no reason.
So let's say tomorrow Dhar Mann's like, hey, Dhar Mann fam, so you saw those slimy protesters. Well, they didn't listen to my lessons. What happens in the dark does come to the light. Here's their salary, and here's the average rent for their house or their apartments. And it turns out their salary wasn't the worst thing in the world. Do you all of a sudden blame the workers for coming forward, even though the problem itself is still there, where he fired them for talking about it? Is the problem this not knowing their salary?
Yeah, yeah, almost 100%. Yeah, I would get mad. I think that the behavior in public, they know what they're doing, right? And in this instance, they know what they're doing, and I think it's being a little deceptive, if that were to come true.
So
I think
for
I think it's a deceptive practice. Yeah, I think it is.
So for me, even if that came forward and it's like the pay's not the worst thing in the world, the core problem is he won't talk to them about adjusting it regardless. And the culture of firing them for talking about it is the core issue, which is what the whole thing is about.
Well,
They
I wouldn't. I didn't see. I didn't see enough proof of that. I didn't see anything at all.
well,
If they,
all
if
their
they,
signs say the same thing. Enough, Darman, and talk to us, Darman. Like the signs are
what were they
encouraging.
fired? What were they fired?
Oh yeah, so the actors, the actors have been let go. I don't know about all of them, but
Can we see
the
that?
one, yeah, there's tons of Darman protest. So like one of the girls, I can't remember her name, but she was talking about how when they started filming in the garage, she was there from the beginning. The pay didn't change. As people talked to him about it or tried to talk to him about it, they would get ghosted or they would just get quietly let go. And that was the culture around the office where talking is a problem if you try and address these issues.
So
That's
there's
all
like,
there.
Like an email something like that. Would they let it go? Well, I'm just saying. I didn't see anything. It's so hard.
Oh, so like you mean like actual receipts of hey, this is Darman, you're fired kind of thing?
Or like I don't know. They in this tweet it says that they were talked about opportunities and they would either accept or refuse, right? So in this instance, I guess they weren't sent more offers to present new projects. Therefore, there's no more contracts offered to them.
Right, that's usually how it works because they're not employees. So
Right.
that's how you let them go. Since they were never brought on as like salaried positions, that's how that works. There wouldn't be like Darman kicking in the door being like, "You're out, bub, give me your badge and your gun." That's how that process would work from talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm still not convinced about how this is being done. Or I'm not convinced of like the substance of what is being done, and I certainly don't agree with the model. The model here, the way this guy's coming on and saying that, right? I wish was a little bit more clear and had more because when, like I said, when you go public, it has to be heavy.
That's
You know?
I think that's a fine critique to say like you wish there was more to rally behind. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But to take such a hardline stance of I will not trust these guys for X, Y, and Z is a bit heavy-handed. I think there is still plenty that they have provided to lend credibility to it, considering all of the principal actors that I know from the DMCU have come forward corroborating each other's stories as well as providing everything you need to prove that Darman will not communicate directly with them. I feel like the core issues have been proven here. The salary, I understand not releasing it. I'm sure there's even probably some kind of reason they couldn't because usually salaries are more of a hush-hush thing, especially when it comes to like acting. That kind of shit's usually kept under wraps. So to me, that was never even the biggest part. It's alarming to hear that. And I have no doubt for like a YouTube production, there's definitely exploitation of actors. So that sucks. But the big thing they were rallying is we want to talk about it to help improve it for us because we've been here for so long and we loved what we're doing with them. And so we just wanted to talk and didn't get a chance to. We just kept getting let go for it. Like I feel like everything from the core issue is there. It's just you would have preferred had they also dropped the salary.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's something that is part of your core argument. It's a pillar, right? If you aren't willing to disclose what the pillar is or how strong it is, then I don't know about if I feel confident about the integrity of the foundation itself. That's every argument. If you're making a lot of points, right? Then I'm a very visual guy. Okay, I'm a very, very, very visual guy. Okay, so I'll have like a foundation would be like a platform, right? Like that's your main argument. Boom, right? And the pillars of your platform is going to be your pillars, right? So let's say you have like I don't know, like 5 of them, right? So you have like 5 pillars, okay? And then if let's say 2 of them are kind of like shaky, right? And are like, well, they're like a bit unproven, just kind of sort of like, then I think if I want to like back them up or whatever, on the basis of the argument, well, I still think that it's shaky because I want to be on their side. A lot of these things, like people, I wish people understood it. Like I want to be on their side, right? Then we can shit on somebody. I love shit on people. I would love nothing else to be able to shit on Dhar Mann, okay? But I just felt like in this video, I wasn't given enough to shit on Dhar Mann.
That's fine. At the end of the day, they are still allegations, 100%. And I think that's important to remember. But there is still enough there for the core of like why they're doing it, and all of them are doing it. Like I feel like that's still a strong pillar. The pillar you're referring to is one about more so the salary and like the dropping of receipts for the salary.
Yeah.
But even still, that's I don't even if the salary comes out right now and it's like fucking great, honestly, it wouldn't change the issue of him letting people go for trying to talk to them or just not communicating, constantly pushing meetings and dodging,
Right.
which is what the protest is focused on, just trying to talk to him.
Yeah, that is shit. I mean, does he not even show up to his own studio or something like that, or what?
I have no idea. He self-inserts himself into videos. Chat saying the salary's out on TikTok, but I don't know if I'm being trolled.
No, it's on Twitter. Extras are paying $18 an hour. Speaking roles for actors was $33 to $44 an hour. And they've been given $1,000 of opportunity jobs and millions of dollars, is that it? They vary from hours long to a few days, but there are no full-time positions, which I think is standard. I'll link you the tweet if you want.
No, I got it pulled up. I'm reading it. What was it? 33 to 40 an hour for speaking roles?
33 to 44, yeah.
I don't know what the industry standard is. I was in the Hunger Games and I got paid $1,000 for 2 days of work, so that seems a little odd, but I don't know what the rate is there.
Okay, brother, you're comparing a Hollywood top fucking IP franchise.
That's why I said I don't know what the norm is there.
Okay, because when I look at Dhar Mann, I see is good makeup artists, right? And Craigslist level acting.
Right. Like that is Dhar Mann's brand.
Yeah. Still though, I mean, I could probably find some of these folks on Craigslist. If you want to make a challenge for me, make a Dhar Mann video, right?
You would go to Craigslist 100%.
And if I got like 10 folks, right? I paid them all half of what Dhar Mann does, I'd probably end up with a similar or better product.
So then, on that token, why don't you hire an editor that's cheaper than the one you currently have? You can find one that do it for free, I bet. Why don't you?
Oh, because it's a working model, right? It's like the best combo ever could have in a job. Two things. It's a proven model combined with an adaptive pay, right? So not only do they know they're doing it, they've shown that they know how to adapt, and on top of that, they know that the pay will come in for the work that they put in, and more if they do more. That's how you create extreme value. That's how you make a lot of fucking money for these people.
So what you've just said is an argument in like my camp of like you should do these things because of what you just said.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. It's what you should.
You're under no obligation to, but you should, right?
I've always said this. No, I agree with you. Yeah, this is what you should do. But if they don't, I don't think they should be canceled for.
Well, that word cancel has truly lost all. It's become like the manspreading of 2023. He's not being canceled. The protest is to talk to the guy. It's not burn Dhar Mann Studios down. They want to talk to him about exactly what you just laid out for your editors for them, or at least negotiating that.
Okay, Charlie. Then your video was named Dhar Mann is in huge trouble. Okay, okay, Charlie. What is? Just stop it. What is that? What is the trouble he's in then? What is that trouble?
That the actors are upset, which makes everyone upset. Talk to your actors. That's trouble.
Okay,
it's not Dhar Mann is done. It's not Dhar Mann was found in a ditch with his head missing. Dude. It's Dhar Mann has a problem. There is trouble at Dhar Mann Studios. There is. That's not a cancel.
You're being
in what way?
About the semantics for no reason now.
What do you? If I had titled this anything, Dhar Mann drama, Dhar Mann actors mad, you could make the same argument. It's not a. The word cancel has lost all meaning. It is calling out a problem, which there is a problem.
Damn. Okay. I just feel like this people in this trade will know that being in trouble means that you're gonna have repercussions, which is usually loss of job, loss of income, loss of power, loss of influence, loss of thing. It's some sort of a loss, right? In my opinion, that's what it kind of looks like. It's why I said in this trade, when you say somebody is in trouble, what is the conclusion of that? It's losing something, right? And that's what people refer as cancellation. That's
a super concerningly paranoid look at the word trouble. That is not what I gather from the word. If I read a tweet longer right now like xQc is in trouble, my first thought would be like, holy shit, he just lost in court. xQc just he fell off his scooter. xQc he paid for too many Pokemon cards. I don't immediately go to holy shit, xQc's career is in the shitter at all.
Really?
Trouble, I feel like, is the lightest. Trouble is a word they use in middle school for children. Like that is not a hard word. Like that is not big at all. Bro, like I feel like that's the lightest thing.
Really, it's a different perspective then. Because if I woke up and I saw the internet about me and said, xQc is in huge trouble, I would think that I was sleepwalking and I was running with my dick out in public and I was waving around, which is a big deal. And people would get mad about that and it would probably cancel me. That's what trouble is.
My God, we not to be parasocial, we got to get to the bottom of these perceptions. My God, that is what an awful way to live. So I can't argue how you feel. I'm not here to argue your feelings. I'm not your psychiatrist here, but that is absolutely not what I think or even cross my mind with the word trouble at all.
Is really. That's how I view the world. I want to be always at least not in big trouble. I never want to be in big trouble.
No one likes to be in trouble, but he has a problem. It is a problem. It has been called out. Thus, I talked about the trouble. At no point was there anything like Dhar Mann has to lose everything. It's Dhar Mann has to talk to these people who feel they have been wronged due to their pay and due to everything else they've been talking about. That is the trouble. It's one with a very easily solvable solution. It's talking to them.
Okay. You know what? Fair enough. Okay. See, here in this tweet, they say, recently there's been a lot of misinformation about going around, we found a few things. In my philosophy, okay, I don't give a fuck if people try to get a case with this take. This is my fucking take, okay? This is not a character anymore. I'm not fucking playing around. This is my real take as a person, okay? If somebody that I work with makes deliberate misinformation, at that point, even though I was gonna give them a raise and a bonus and I was gonna work with them, I don't give a fuck anymore. They are fired. I think doing malicious misinformation makes you a fucking liability, and I will never work with you again. Because as the one who buys the ship, builds the ship, steers the ship, right? You took the risk the whole way through. When somebody is willing to take a risk for the whole thing, right? They're what we call a fucking liability. And I will never let that happen ever again. That's usually how it goes. So I would be more mauled about the fucking people being a scumlord and trying to snake go to the public like that. I hate that shit. And people, even in private, that I've spoken to in the past, that does some sly fly shit, I've never just on stream, right? I never talked to them ever again. And when it was time to get invited to something to the fuck, I didn't reply. Why? Because fuck people like that. I hate that. It's one of my biggest pet peeves with people.
You and every other human being on the planet, no one likes that. Like everyone knows that. But you are taking, just in the way you were against taking their word for it, you're taking Dhar Mann's word of misinformation and running with it, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. You're not wrong. You got me there. Yeah, I agree. Because I don't agree with the methods.
Right, and that is fine. Like if there is misinformation, you were absolutely right to be like, I'm washing my hands with him. This guy, he's bad news. I tell you, Bubba Long Johnson's the worst man in the world for his malicious misinformation campaign. 100%. I think everyone in the world would agree with that. But as of the moment, the core issue is he wouldn't talk to them or the meetings.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't read that. What's that say?
It says myth number 1, and then it
No. The arrow. I can't. Actually, I'll just pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up. Yeah, of course, I don't want you to be here with no ammo, bruh.
Is it on his Instagram or his Twitter?
I just look at you. You have it in chat right here. Oh, the whole thing? I'll let you do the whole thing. Yeah, do the whole thing.
Oh, thanks.
And the manager says, "Stop talking about this right now." I'm just kidding. He says, yo, dark and darker. No. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Chat, everybody that I work with, okay, they're all on adaptive pay. All of them. Even manager, motherfuckers, the whole everybody's on adaptive pay. If I do dog shit, they get dog shit supreme. It's just how it is.
Where's the next one? Oh, that was the last one there.
I'm just ahead of HR as far as email. I'd love to chat you. Ideas and make things better. I mean, now I'm gonna go against Dhar Mann, and say that yeah, this is kind of cooked, because it's not even a myth, okay? Their HR said that she would love to talk to them, but not Dhar Mann himself, which doesn't really do anybody any good.
Yeah, that's just corroborating once again that Dhar Mann was not the one to try and, like, he wasn't actually talking to them, but I haven't finished yet, so maybe he does by the end.
This is fair enough.
Have you got to the end of that first batch? Because he's literally just proving everything they said. So at the end of it, he wasn't the one that was there. It is again mentioning the two people, which Colin mentions in his video, but they had reiterated many times they want Dhar Mann there to discuss it because he signs their contracts, which is a very reasonable ask, I think, since he is the one that dictates it. He didn't go. He instead just kept passing it off to HR and the head of production and didn't want to go. And then at the end said, "Unfortunately, another meeting at this time won't be possible. Thanks and have a great weekend." I'm assuming this is Dhar Mann Studios' response, not theirs, but let's check.
This is a petty PayPal, and I think I agree with this. I think this is actually true. That they get their 1099s from PayPal themselves. I mean, I'm pretty sure that even fucking PayPal give me fucking the fucking 1099s, whatever the fuck. I'm not getting cooked. Nobody's getting cooked. There's not the point of the discussion.
This is just a reasonable discussion between adults, is what's happening here.
And it seems like there's a difference in life perspective and other perspectives, which is fine. Have disagreements, okay?
What, I don't doubt Daniel's a saint, but what does he have to do with any of this?
Who's Daniel?
Oh, have you not got to their anonymous feedback box?
Well, I mean, they have 1,300. I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't, of course. I assumed, which I shouldn't be doing it. Dhar Mann Studios Actor Survey. I don't think they would deceptively get one out of, I mean, they're all dog shit, or a majority of them.
Well, it's just, this is completely irrelevant to everything, is what I'm saying. This is very much like, hey, we actually take all feedback seriously, and here's Daniel, he's fucking awesome. Like, everything they showed before this was once again proving exactly what Colin said, that the previous meetings Dhar Mann did not show up for, and instead just kept trying to put the HR head and the head of production there, even though they just kept asking for just being able to talk to Dhar Mann, since he is the one that signs the contracts, dictates the pay. So they just kept asking for him, and he refused to be there. Everything they just dropped corroborates that whole thing. Unless they come out with something else.
Fair enough. In the real world, usually your boss is a higher up. If you work at Amazon, you will never see your boss. You'll never see Bezos ever, right? Well, who would they talk to? Is HR a good way to downscale it?
Well, they're not employees. They shouldn't be talking to HR anyway. They're fucking contractors. Like, there's no reason HR would be the one to intercept contractors. HR is for fucking, like, employee workplace behavior, really. So, like, that's already... Like, HR can be there. That's fine. That makes sense. But it shouldn't be, like, your principal communication when the person that hired you, like, the person that is signing those contracts, isn't showing up. That's why they're asking for that.
Dude, this guy's no idea how it works. It's becoming cringe. Me? Because if you have a problem with your pay at your job, I don't really know who you talk to. I mean...
Again, you're comparing very different jobs. You're comparing working at Amazon to being the lead actor in the productions, of which Dhar Mann himself does self-inserts where he is in the production as well. And early on, he was in a lot of them. Like, these actors have built a relationship directly with Dhar Mann, and now all of a sudden he will not talk to them. It's very different. It's not like you're a random employee at Amazon, you know, faceless nobody to Jeff Bezos trying to communicate with him. Like, you have better luck writing his name on a rock and throwing it out your window and him getting it than actually trying to communicate with him. Here, it's a lot more what I would imagine would be direct, since you are the principal leads in, like, their cash cow. And you did have a relationship with him directly not too long ago. So I just feel like those are two very different things to try and compare. These are the stars of the content.
Yeah. And some of these surveys look pretty good. I mean, 106 is a 8. I mean, yeah, you have a combined 1% under a 7 out of 10.
What does that have to do with anything, though? If I'm doing a survey, I'm telling you right now, I'm just doing the quickest way. But regardless, this has nothing to do with the actual core problem. This is all ancillary nonsense that doesn't actually matter to what's happening currently.
Okay. Then the takeaway from all this is the conditions and shit. I can make a conclusion, but here's the take. Hey, Dhar Mann, get your dumbass to the studio and talk to some of these folks. And if they don't agree with them, say no. And if they don't agree, well, they can quit.
That's exactly right. No one has ever argued that point. We've made it there. That is the core issue. Dhar Mann, talk to us. We don't agree with our pay. Whether or not we are right in disagreeing with it, it's irrelevant. We just want to talk about it. Stop letting people go when they try to talk to you, and please stop dodging our meetings. That's the core. That is what the protest is about.
That's it. Well, this is my 8-second video. Hey, Dhar Mann, go to the studio, motherfucker, and talk to some of these folks.
All right.
Hat.
Okay.
That's
Fuck
it.
yeah. Yeah,
So
thank you. Yes, we got there. Yeah.
Alright. Boom. That was a fair enough. See? I enjoyed this very healthy discussion. Thanks for debunking it for me.
Hey, no worries, man. I appreciate the discussion as well. I hope, what, are you playing a game tonight, or what are you doing tonight?
Oh yeah, playing some scary game and some shit, but yeah. Okay, anyway, yeah. I hope you have a Harry Potter. You playing Harry Potter?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and bust some ass through it.
Oh man, you have to bust your ass to the fucking comments molding about the other stuff running the game. Good luck with that.
Alright, man. Have a good stream, bro.
Thank you too, man. Bye bye.
See ya.
See you, man.
I think that was a very productive discussion overall. Thanks to the 5 gift subs, Murph. Sorry, I wasn't really looking at chat during that. I thought so. I gotta tell you though. I'm getting a little worried for his editors. I was hearing some stuff in there. I'm like, wait, just wait. Let's pump the brakes a little bit there. Are you sure? There were a couple things in there I was a little skeptical of on the editing side.
It is good to see you, my friend.
Hello, Natty. How are you?